Hello, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by Rails to Trails Conservancy's Trail Expert Network. My name is Suzanne Mattias. I'm RTC Social Media and Engagement Strategist here.
Hi, I'm Brandy Horton, Vice President of Communications at Rails to Trails Conservancy. So great to be with you all.
The Trail Expert Network, or TEN as we lovingly refer to it as, provides free resources and peer-to-peer learning opportunities to trail managers and advocates through RTC's Trail Building Toolbox, a regular newsletter, the TEN Facebook group, and webinars just like this. You'll receive more details on TEN and a survey to each today's session and a follow-up email after the show. But our topic today is getting ready for Celebrate Trails Day. Before I hand it off to Brandy, I want to take a moment to go through some brief housekeeping. First, as you've probably already noticed, attendees have been automatically muted as they join to keep background noise at a minimum. You will not be able to speak during today's webinar. We'll be keeping an eye out for any tech issues that emerge on our end, but we will be unable to help with individual tech issues if they arise. If you experience any such problems, your best course of action is to contact Zoom's free customer service support directly, or view a selection of help topics at the links shown on the screen. I encourage you to copy those down now before we move on from the slide. Give you a moment. If for whatever reason you lose the webinar connection, please re-click your login link. You'll be able to rejoin the ongoing session at any time. We are recording this webinar. So worst case scenario, you'll be able to view it later, and you can go ahead and catch that on our Celebrate Trails Day website. And we'll share that during this webinar several times. And finally, we'll save time for questions at the end. So if you have any of those about our resources or the content you hear about today, just go ahead and type them in the question box on the right-hand side of your screen at any time. So during the webinar, we'll be focusing on giving an overview about the Celebrate Trails Day celebration, why we hope you and everyone else will participate, how to get involved, share some planning resources, and wrap it up with that Q&A. So again, don't worry, we're recording this in case you miss it or you want to rewatch it for any reason later. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brandy.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, and thank you everyone for making the time today to chat with us about Celebrate Trails Day. I'm wearing a scarf here. It's quite cold in Washington, D.C. this afternoon, but we are not that far away from springtime and getting ready to stretch our arms and legs outside. So one of the things that when we kind of talk about Celebrate Trails Day and its importance is really talking about the value of trails and creating a moment to bring attention to all that trails are giving to all of us in our day-to-day lives. Last year, we all talked so much about the surge of trail use during 2020. We talked so much about trails and the resource that they provided during that time. We just released our 2021 trail count numbers, and I'm thrilled to share that 2021 was another banner year for trails. Obviously, we did not hit the peak levels that we hit in 2020 in terms of trail usage, but trail counts showed a 36% increase when you compare that to 2019. So when you look at a 51% increase in 2020, a 36% increase in 2019, we are still hitting unprecedented levels of trail use all across the country. And that's a really exciting thing. It's also, I'll continue to offer the word of caution that I don't think it's something we can take for granted. And as we have this attention and we have this enthusiasm for trails, taking a day, taking a moment to draw focus to that and to bring the public and the political attention to trails and all that they are doing for folks. A couple of other data points here that I think are really noteworthy in the context of now kind of being in this 2-year cycle of the pandemic. 67% of folks have indicated that having access to open spaces has reduced to their stress during the pandemic. I think we'll all continue to see and value the need for those outdoor spaces in the months and the years to come. Again, just a really important thing to bring focus to. 75% believe that trails contribute significantly to the well-being of the community. So this is another day and another opportunity to really celebrate and lift that up, that people think that trails are critical community assets. So as we're advocating for resources, as we're trying to build more support, that's really important. And 47% say they now consider trails and open spaces to be important compared to 37% before the pandemic. And so we're seeing changes in people's feelings about trails because they've kind of had these spaces in their day-to-day lives in a different way. And this is a chance for us to really leverage that enthusiasm for increased support across the board, whether that's funding support, advocacy support, kind of participation and ambassadorship within our communities. Next slide, Suzanne. So why do we do days like this? Why do we celebrate? Why do we want to draw attention? One of the reasons is because we're trying to bring those trail users along on a journey with us where they start as a trail user. They're folks who might like to walk, bike, be active outside in different ways. They may be new to trails. Maybe they've discovered trails in these last few years or within the last year, or maybe they're people who have been out on trails for a very long time, but they haven't done more than that. Days like Celebrate Trails Day give us a chance to really deeply connect with folks and move them along that continuum from trail user to trail supporter, somebody who really wants to give back in their community, be a part of the national movement, wants to advocate for trails, wants to ask for specific funding and resources, and then somebody who can become that ambassador for your local trails, for the entire movement as a whole, really lifting up the story of what trails do for us in our communities and in our lives. And this is a chance, these events, these celebrations, these opportunities to connect with folks on social and in digital platforms. Celebrate Trails Day is a really important moment in time where we can really learn more about who these folks are, what motivates them, what they already know and believe about trails, what we can do to kind of move them along to learn more deeply about what it takes to create and maintain these assets in their community. Next slide. So we obviously have a goal to engage people and to be out there celebrating and showcasing trails. Specifically, our goal is to encourage people to be active outside on a specific day to amplify their participation and demonstrate the value and impact of trails overall. We have some very specific quantitative metrics that we can use to kind of measure our success because, getting people out is a really big goal, and how do we know that we're moving the needle there? So one metric that we have, and Suzanne's going to walk us through in a little bit, all the ways that we can kind of track folks and get them deeply involved in the day. One is commitments to getting outside. So we're counting the number of folks who are saying, I'm going to do something on Celebrate Trails Day. Active outside minutes. Last year, we, for the first time, released a survey following Celebrate Trails Day to find out kind of what people did, how much time did they spend outside? Was that different from their normal day-to-day? And what we learned was 139,000 minutes of physical outdoor activity could be attributed back to Celebrate Trails Day, which was really exciting. And we released that data in partnership with the CDC as part of their Active People, Healthy Nation project. And we plan to do something similar again this year, definitely wanting to communicate those metrics to folks to help them understand how important trails are for providing the place and the space for people to safely be active outside. Another thing we're going to try and quantify this year is car trips avoided and whether folks make a decision, and we'll encourage them to, but make a decision to maybe not get in their car, maybe do a short trip, one of those 1 to 3 mile trips by car or walking or rolling to their destination. So we're going to count that. It'll be interesting, like how we piloted the active outside minutes last year. It'll be interesting to see kind of what people report back. And we hope to have some good numbers to share at the end of Celebrate Trails Day this year. And then another metric is just how many folks are joining us in this celebration. So how many partners are helping to lift this up from trail organizations, other nonprofits, brands who can help support this, get the word out, help connect people to trails in their community. Next slide. So how did we get from where we started to where we are? Last year, if there are folks who are joining us again, we talked a lot about going from virtual to encouraging people to do activities. Celebrate Trails Day itself began in 2013, and it was always organized around local events on trails. So we encouraged partners all across the country to host these events, and then we promoted the events and encouraged individuals to join them. Obviously, 2020 looked a lot different. Celebrate Trails Day was in April, shortly after a lot of things shut down all across the country. So we went virtual. We had a lovely celebration online about trails, have had folks sharing kind of what they were doing to stay active, to be outside, to connect with friends and family safely at the start of the pandemic. By spring of last year, we felt comfortable encouraging people again to be active outside, but we did not encourage events. We provided a lot of resources in partnership with many of you all to help people figure out ways to get outside, kind of new things they could do. Maybe they hadn't been birding before, some resources to try that out, how to kind of get their kids excited to go back outside, maybe how to tackle that first long distance ride. And it was a huge success. It was really exciting to see all of the folks who were empowered to be out and to be kind of claiming these spaces and be active in this way on Celebrate Trails Day 2021. And so a lesson for us was, let's not let's not lose that. Let's not lose that individual enthusiasm for being kind of out there doing the things that make you happy. As long as we're all out there together doing it on the same day, it's achieving the same goal. So Celebrate Trails Day 2022 will look a little bit like the old times and the new times, where we're going to encourage individuals to participate. We're also going to encourage events. So that way the folks who want to join us out on the trails on Celebrate Trails Day can choose whether they want to do something on their own, and there's still plenty of resources, and we'll continue to build those resources up this year, or if they want to join an event. And we encourage folks to have events if that's useful to your goals locally. Next slide. And so finally, what has the impact of Celebrate Trails Day looked like since 2013? And when we get to this place where we're approaching our 10-year anniversary, we're starting to really rack up some great numbers. So we've had participation in 48 states and the District of Columbia. We've had tens of thousands of participants all across the country. Last year alone was over 3,500 participants. So really exciting to see those numbers rack up and to see people come together to celebrate trails in that way. Hundreds of partners, over 600 events all across the country. 834,000 people just in 2021 alone were reached by articles that came out as a result of Celebrate Trails Day. 35,000 Celebrate Trails Day webpage views in 2021, 1 million Twitter impressions, and 139,000 minutes spent outside, all just in last year. So when you think about what we're trying to achieve, to bring that focus to trails, to spotlight the impact of trails, these numbers show us that we're really doing a great job to lift. And I think we can only continue to go upwards from here. And Suzanne, pass back to you. Oh, I lied. One more slide. I'll pass it back to myself. And finally, we introduced in October of 2020, September, October of 2020, the Trail Moments Initiative at Rails to Trails Conservancy. And it was really originated as a way to capture the stories of folks who had discovered trails during the pandemic. But it has grown since then to be this incredible tool for sharing folks' day-to-day kind of engagements with trails, the impact that trails are making on people's everyday lives in big ways and small ways that add up to really tremendous change over time. And so it's an initiative that we're going to continue to keep going, and you'll see it seeded throughout the Celebrate Trails Day messaging, because on this day of celebration, being able to not just talk about the infrastructure and the community benefits, but also to bring in those very personal stories that we hope will inspire people, right? The folks who maybe are interested in getting outside on trails in their community, but haven't quite taken the next kind of leap to do that. We're hoping that these trail moment stories will inspire them to do that. And we hope it's a tool for all of you as well to continue finding ways to engage with folks and connect with folks in real time. And now, Suzanne, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks so much, Brandy. Now, all right, we're about a third of the way through. So if you need to stretch for a second while I go over this TLDR key takeaways, if you remember nothing else, please remember this slide. So Brandy just shared why it's so important that we celebrate trails, why we value trails, why they're just such a gem to our communities nationwide. So what is Celebrate Trails Day really? America's trails being celebrated on a single day. So how are people doing it? Getting outside, Brandy mentioned, we have a long history of doing events, but we've also more recently empowered people to have more DIY adventures or do it themselves ventures, whether it's solo, small group, etc., and making those resources available to them. When is it? This one's important. You can mark your calendar forever and always. It is the fourth Saturday of April every year. This year, it is Saturday, April 23rd. Partners, we're hoping many of you, like, who is a partner? Do you qualify? The answer is probably yes. We're friends of the trail groups, running clubs, biking clubs, businesses, small business, coffee shops, brands, nonprofits, pretty much any type of organization or association who wants to be a part of this. We welcome and invite you to become a Celebrate Trails Day partner. So hopefully many of you will. Some of the key pieces of this year, as Brandy was sharing, we're still very much so feeling the effects of the pandemic, and we will continue to prioritize public health and safety above all else. And that includes encouraging people, whether they're hosting or going to an event, or again, those solo adventures, to recreate responsibly. We'll go over that in just a few minutes too, to follow those guidelines when they're on the trail. This year, We will also be offering some resources for you all to use, or for our partners to use to get the word out about Celebrate Trails Day, to help plan events, etc., including some on the trail pieces. And we're continuing to solicit resources that really help people feel welcome on the trail, have those inclusive experiences. We talked about birding, but pretty much if BioBlitz, there's so many ways to enjoy and experience the trail. And we welcome you if you have any of those resources to share them as a Celebrate Trails Day partner, so other people can find them and use them and enjoy them. And coming up, how can your organization participate? What are these resources Suzanne keeps talking about? What is the timeline? And then what's actually happening on April 23rd? So how you can participate. First up is getting the word out, using this toolkit and helping to plan for your Celebrate Trails Day celebration. So I'm going to go over it in just a minute. We have a fabulous toolkit full of resources, including copy and paste and post, social media, email template, newsletters, to make it as easy as possible for you all to participate as a partner. We know you're very busy, so we want to make it as easy as possible. Signing up to become a partner, Brady was mentioning that we're trying to keep track of this valuable information, showing how many partners participate this year is a really valuable thing for people to know and to really understand the scope of how powerful this celebration is. So when you sign up to become a partner, it'll ask you to share any of those resources we talked about. Again, pretty much anything that is linkable that helps people experience trails. How-to guides, it can be a fun video, links to blogs, whatever you have. And then of course, events too. We'll go over the different types of events, but cleanups, ribbon cuttings, rides, etc. You can also stay tuned and share. We'll be continuing to share resources as we get closer to the day, reminders, helpful things like that. We'll be elevating stories, amplifying our partners who are participating so folks know we can use our national platform to get the word out that you all are a part of this big celebration. And then actually on April 23rd, we hope you'll join us in getting outside on the trail and amplifying all that is happening on the day. Our hashtag is Celebrate Trails. And then of course, if you can, tag Rails to Trails so you can be reshared and you can help amplify those stories. So types of resources to share, I said already, pretty much anything that you can share via link. We have some categories already set up that we knew people would be gravitating towards, and we can always expand these. It could be anything about enjoying nature. You know, if you have a how to identify common bugs guide, that would be great. Walking, running, biking resources, volunteering is a great one. If you want to help people learn how to volunteer, that's helpful. We understand that the trail is not always warm on April 23rd. It may not always be sunny. So we want to be inclusive of all types of weathers and all types of geographies. So please feel free to share any resource that you might have about bicycling in the rain or similar. Virtual resources too. You know, some people don't feel comfortable getting outside at this time, or they may not be able to. So if you have any great virtual resources, that's a fun thing to share as well. So anything that you can, that you feel comfortable sharing that makes people feel welcome on the trail, it helps them experience it. So for event planning, I already mentioned that public health and safety is our top priority for this year. I've incorporated on the slide the Recreate Responsibly guidelines. You can go on ahead and Google Recreate Responsibly. All these will pop up. They're just really helpful tips to make everybody feel welcome outside and to make them feel prepared and like they know what to expect, especially the folks who are newer to the trail. But it's helpful for anybody who's been outside at any point in time, whether it's long time or new. If you were planning an event, I would say double check that you have any permitting, reservations, liability coverage that you may need. These things are just to make sure you're all buttoned up and ready for the day. Consider first aid, inclement weather. It's always, hopefully none of this ever comes up, but it's good to be prepared. Think about partnering with other groups. Businesses are great. You know, I mentioned coffee shops. Maybe the local coffee shop is open to bringing muffins or something on the day, or providing support in another way. It's a great way to involve the entire community, especially those who are along or near the trail. Try to make the event free. RTC definitely gives promotional preference to free events. Again, we want this to be a celebration that everybody can enjoy and be a part of. And then get the word out about your event early and often using that handy toolkit that I keep talking about. So different types of events. This does not need to be something that you generate a completely new idea. It doesn't need to be reinventing the wheel. A lot of you already planned fantastic events This can be a way where you are just pulling that event that you're already kind of planning or that you've planned 100 times into a national or bigger celebration. So you get more visibility, more attention to what you were already doing. That's fantastic. But you're also welcome to do something completely different. Here are a couple of examples of what folks have done in the recent years. There was a lovely cleanup. Celebrate Trails Day is a great time for cleanups. It's also right next to Earth Day. So a lot of people like to think about getting outdoors for Earth Day. This is a great way to do that. Folks have had ribbon cuttings on Celebrate Trails Day. Again, it's a great way to generate extra news and attention for your trail. Rides. Here's a great example from Go Philly Go about a virtual scavenger hunt on the trail. Again, you can get creative, especially if you're thinking about public health and safety in those ways and you want to be cautious about getting outdoors in larger groups. And then here's a lovely example from Girl Trek 2, going on a healing walk. Everybody needed those over the last 2 years. So there's so many fun ways to participate. We welcome you to be creative about it, but also, do something that you're already used to doing as well. All right, so how can we help you? How can we make it easy? I mentioned our website already. It is the one-stop shop, everything you'll ever need for Celebrate Trails. There's the URL down there. You can check it out right now if you want, or right after this webinar. On that website, we will be making the resources available for people who are looking for ideas to get on the trail and the events. This is where we'll be highlighting all of the partners who are participating through a really neat interactive map. There's also a whole partner area that'll include those materials and tools that we shared with you about getting the word out. And this webinar will be included in that partner section soon. All right, let's bear with me while I try to share my screen. All right, so this is the Celebrate Trails Day website. Yes, it works, technology. Here's Celebrate Trails Day website. Again, it's just at rtc.org. You can find some helpful, or folks are going to be able to find resources for enjoying the trails. Soon there will be a an RSVP form essentially for anybody who is interested in participating. They'll be able to let us know that they're in this year. That will be made available on our website, and there will be an opportunity for them to win prizes. So hopefully lots of people decide to participate and let us know that they're going to be doing that. What you will find most interesting for the time being is this Become a Partner section. All right, from here, you can go ahead and register as a partner. I'll do that in just one moment, and I'll show you the form. It's pretty quick and easy to use. There's a really neat map function where you can just drop where your event may be or where your organization is. Here's the the Celebrate Trails Day logo that you can be able to use in multiple templates. Right in here, if you click it, goes to a Google Sheet where all of that sample copy, that readied language that you can just copy, customize, and share is ready for you to go. So you really, hopefully this pares back some of the writing and the promotional work that you'll need to do on your own. Graphics, we're going to be continuing to add more to this website, to this section of the website, but we've got our starter set right here. Click it, download it. There's size for all the socials, for web, email, etc. Instagram story in there. So you feel free to start using that, including there's a save the date graphic. We'll go over these a little bit more, but we're going to also have materials, those on-trail resources that you'll be able to use. Right here is one of our very popular pieces, the selfie frame. This gives you the downloadable template that you can go ahead and take to a printer and have made. So you can start encouraging people to take fun photos on the trail with your selfie frame. So register as a partner, mention this. This is our quick form. It'll ask key information, group name, social handles if you'd like to share them. There's this map here. So if your organization is sharing resources, feel free to just pop in your, or to move around to put in your organizational address or your club address. Or if you're holding an event, planning an event, you can go ahead and use this to share where that's going to be. We know that sometimes if you're having an event on the trail, address can be a little bit tricky. So this should help you let people know exactly where you'll be. Logo, this is where you can answer about the event, share those resources we mentioned. So it should be straightforward. After you've submitted that, we're going to take all that information. We're going to have that interactive map. So all of you will be represented in that really cool map that we're going to share with our large audience too. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Bear with me. All right, success number 2. And we're in case the technology didn't work. So another thing that we like to make available for our partners to thank you for all the work that you're doing and helping us elevate trails on this special day is we want to offer you some swag, which we know that lots of folks like swag. So if you are among 20, we're going to randomly select 20 partner organizations to give swag to, as long as you submit. And by that, I mean register as a partner by March 1st. We'll have some cool RTC stuff in there that you can hand out at an event or at any point in time, or to use to encourage people to join you for your event. So make sure you submit by March 1st. Some other materials, I mentioned these, there's the selfie frame right there. We also, thanks to this webinar from last year and the brainstorms that you all shared with us, we made on-trail decals available. We had these temporary yard signs that you can use to help let people know that something is coming up on April 23rd. For those folks who are regular users of the trail, they'll say it or see it and save the date, hopefully. If you have other ideas for materials that would really help make your celebration pop similar to these, please let us know. Again, these ideas were born out of last year's webinar and folks like you, so we'd really appreciate that. Quickly, we'll go over timeline. So we're in January, we're doing some of the partner outreach aspects of this. We're going to make the grassroots and again, public any trail user, that RSVP form available for them. So everyone can start registering, letting us know that they're going to be participating. Come February, we're going to encourage people to continue on that event planning sequence. March is when we're really going to start amplifying what is happening on the day. So that's when those resources, those linked resources will be up on our website in a big way. Any events are going to start being shared. That map will be live. And then April, we'll be encouraging our users, if you are too, to get outside on the trail, save the date, check out all of the great resources that our partners are making available through the Celebrate Trails Day website. And then on the day, RTC always likes to amplify what's going on. We share on social media what our partners are doing. We send emails to encourage people to get outside. So again, if you're going outside, if you tag at Rails to Trails, use that hashtag, we will reshare you with our entire national audience. There's also some press pieces, so lots of attention on the day. Recap, in case that was too fast or too much. Celebrate Trails Day, Saturday, April 23rd. Use the hashtag Celebrate Trails. Public health and safety, #1 priority, continues to be. We have tools and materials to help you plan whatever you want to do for Celebrate Trails Day, hopefully make it as easy as possible. We'll be collecting participation information to help demonstrate the value of trails. You can help make it a success by getting the word out, sharing resources, planning events. And if you need anything, our website, railstrails.org, Celebrate Trails, is the up-to-date resource for all things related to the celebration. So please feel free to check it out. With that, we'll open it up for questions. Let's see. Looks like some of these are already answered.
Yeah, I've been answering some of them in real time, so that's been nice. Gotta love the technology there. I think there was one question that was not super personal that I'll address here, and it's about whether or not we're encouraging or discouraging indoor events. You know, obviously for Celebrate Trails Day, we encourage outdoor activities because we want people on the trail and we want to be able to showcase that and really use this as a day to connect people with their trail. Of course, if weather or other issues push your event inside, our best advice at this point in time is to really follow that local public health guidance. I think the reality of where we currently are is that things happen in waves and very regionally. So the likelihood is we'll be I expect in a good stead to be able to push forward with the event nationally, but locally, please do just kind of keep tabs on your local public health guidance. And we'll be doing the same. And if we have any concerns about anything at all, we'll reach out to you directly, because we'll have your information from registering as a partner. But mostly I think things will be good as long as we're following public health guidance. And another question here.
Oh,
you got it. Go for it, Suzanne.
it was a great question about Celebrate Trails Day. It's for all trails or just for rail trails? All trails. We love all trails. Please, this is a time for us to recognize all the trails. RTC really loves rail trails, of course, it's in the name, and all multi-use trails, right? So anything where people can bike, walk, roll, etc. But yes, this is a day in which we celebrate trails across the country.
And we have a question in the chat about whether they can get copies of the PowerPoint. And so I suggested that yes, in fact, they would.
Yes, happy to make that available. Again, this webinar, which includes the PowerPoint, will also be made available on that partner section on the website.
I have a question about how to get the sticker, sign / decal for the trail, which was awesome. And I actually think Ella Belling asked that question from West Virginia. I'm pretty sure, Ella, it was your idea last year. So what we're planning to do is send out basically a request form in mid-February with the final kind of available things like that. I do think we'll do the temporary signs again. Those were really easy for folks to use and to install, easy for us to order and ship. And then those decals on the trail are a little bit more expensive, but they were the number of folks who requested them last year, we were able to fulfill that. So look for that in mid-February with a deadline of around early March, so that we can get those ordered and printed and shipped out to folks in plenty of time for Celebrate Trails Day, because they're helpful for both kind of on that day, signifying the day, but they're also really helpful promotional tools for folks to mark the date and know that that's coming up.
All
Any
right.
other
questions? Well, and if you can't think of one right now, that's a-okay. Our contact information is on this slide, as well as available on the website itself. So feel free to let us know if you have any exciting questions or any ideas for other materials that you might want, those on-trail resources and beyond. All right. And I know we're pretty much at time, so I would also like to highlight that the Trail Expert Network, if you're not already a part of it, we hope you do join. The link is right here on this slide. Again, there's a great newsletter. You get resources about trails, more webinars, peer-to-peer learning group. It's a fabulous environment if you are interested in trails and you work towards enhancing, improving, and loving trails. So, yeah. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I don't see any other questions, so I think we're good. And we'll see everybody on the trail on April 23rd, 2022. Can't wait.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We look forward to being in touch.